We live in a surveillance state, right? So, which pisses me off that Barack Obama hasn't done a goddamn thing to decrease the surveillance state that he's about to hand over to Donnie Tiny-Hands Trump. That is bullshit. And he's handing over, by the way, there's no habeas corpus, meaning the government can throw you in jail without a trial right now, meaning that all they have to do is say you're a terrorist. Oh, turns out they're already trying to do that. They're already trying to say people who are protesters are economic terrorists. Steve?
Look, this is the problem. This is why the show exists, because too many people, and especially people on the left, they play partisan politics, and it's so bad. It's so bad for society because we have to have a system that doesn't depend on angels. We discussed this before. If you have a system that is at the mercy of the people that are running the system and need that person who's running the system to be an angel, well, you have a bad system. And so when we gutted the system of certain protections, like our civil liberties, our basic civil liberties, I mean, this goes back to Magna Carta, 1215. Okay, so hundreds and hundreds of years of civil liberties advancement rolled back in a heartbeat just because we got struck by terrorists on 9/11. And so George Bush rolled it back and created the imperial presidency. And what did Barack Obama do? He embraced it. And everyone who cried about George Bush becoming the imperial president all of a sudden became silent when it was their man in charge. And that's the problem. Okay,
that is the problem.
We shouldn't care who is in charge. We should care about the law and the system that's in place. And we should hold even our closest friends to the highest standards, because it may not be our friends in office next time. It may be our worst enemy. So we have to make sure that the system itself is pure and that it is not subject to any kind of abuse by anyone, friend or foe.
So I remember when they were doing this stuff, when they were repealing habeas frickin' corpus, which is the linchpin of democracy, just so you know. When they were doing that, I remember people saying, hey, everybody's all right with it now because Barack Obama's president. Everybody likes Barack Obama, but we don't know who the next guy's going to be. Well, now we do know who the next guy's going to be. Everybody's like, the next guy might be not as nice as Barack Obama. Do you really want to give this a pop? Well, the next guy's not only, he seems to be worse than Hitler in everybody's mind. And guess what everybody's doing? Nothing. They're not trying to take away that power. They're not trying to reinstitute habeas corpus. Barack Obama isn't running around like a chicken with his head cut off trying to go, oh my God, we got to put democracy back in our government before we hand it off to a fucking crazy man. In fact, Barack Obama is looking a little too comfortable with Donald Tiny Hands Trump being our president, isn't he? He is to fucking me, I'll tell you that. We just had an intramural game. You had an intramural game, you son of a bitch? Anyway, I know I get so upset at Barack
Jimmy
Obama.
gets very worked up. So look, again, we need to have accountability for everyone, not just when it's convenient for our political allies, not when we think that it's against our political enemies. We need to have a system that is fair at all times. So this is why I was so upset with the Bush regime and Dick Cheney, all the torturing, the enhanced interrogation, the Patriot Act, which absolutely gutted much of our civil liberties. But I was actually more horrified when Barack Obama came along a few years later and normalized all of this.
Yes.
All of it. Okay. So now we have a Republican who did it. Now we have a Democrat who did it. So now everyone can do it. So now there are no more laws. We're at the complete mercy of whoever we have in power. And, if this person decides to just torture the way Dick Cheney and the neocons did, well, then they get away with it because nothing's ever been done. And now we have Donald Trump, who has openly stated that he'd do far worse than waterboarding. God knows what he's going to do. And guess what's going to happen to him? Nothing. And then we feign all this outrage that he grabbed women by the pussy and won't release his tax returns.
But we don't prosecute anybody for fucking torture or for invading another country illegally or for crashing our economy while stuffing their pockets with billions of dollars or for cracking the heads of peaceful protesters or for blowing off some girl's arm who was peacefully. No one goes to jail anymore if you're doing it at the behest of power. Yeah. So if you're doing criminal acts at the behest of power, no fucking problem. But let me tell you something. If you expose criminality, mentality of the powerful, we're going to torture you in prison like we're doing to Chelsea Manning right now. That's what we'll do. Or we'll make you move to Russia. That's what we do to whistleblowers in America. There's no protection for whistleblowers. You know what we have for whistleblowers? We literally have torture facilities. That's what America does. That's your Barack Obama.